Hello, hello, everybody. Good evening. We are back again for another Nights with Nora. And as you guys know, I have a very special guest this evening. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, ladies, for all tuning in. And fellas, if you're here tonight, I appreciate you guys as well. So, what I need you guys to do right now is share this video to your pages, to your groups, to any ladies that may need the topic that we're talking about tonight because it is a very important topic about how to manage as a working mom. So, business owners, I know you guys know this struggle more than probably a lot of us. But it is hard sometimes to get your schedule under control when you got little ones. So I got Miss Crystal Ifekoya here tonight. I am so happy to have her on the show. I tried to get you before, I think sometime last year, and our schedules just conflicted. But I'm so happy to finally get her in the building. This woman is literally a jack of all trades. So we should say Jane, a Jane of all trades. There is probably nothing that Miss Crystal cannot do. She's an incredible woman. I met her on a radio show this year I met her on a radio show. I feel like I've known you a lot longer than the time I have. So that's why. So she just builds relationships very quickly and just a very open person, very free spirit. And I just love her so much. Love what she's doing in the community, love her organization and all that she has to offer. So Miss Crystal, can you tell the people about yourself, just a little bit about yourself or a lot about what you do, your organization, and just bring us up to speed on who you are.
Well, first, I would like to say thank you, Nora, for giving me a platform on your platform to be able to talk today. And as she said, my name is Crystal Ifekoya, and I am the founder of WOW, Women Helping Other Women, first and foremost. But I also have my own business, Boss Encounters. And I have three girls. They are 25, 23, and 16
Ooh.
that I was a single mother for most of that time, but I have been married twice and divorced twice. I am the vice president of the Junior League of Tulsa and the DEI committee, as well as I have a plethora of other duties. TE 100. I worked or volunteered for SCORE for 5 years. I just recently retired from there, as you would like to say, but I stay busy all the time. And I'm a proud member of Transformation Nation. Uh,
Yay.
Nation Church, actually. I listen to the Nation right now until we go back in the building, but I am a strong believer in Christ. So that is a little bit about me.
Well, thank you so much. And we're so happy to have you over here on this platform on Girl Talk Inc. So if you guys heard what she said, I'll tell you guys again when we get toward the end, but I want you guys to go over there and support her organization as well. Like, follow, and see what she has going on. So, because I know, like she said, she always has a lot going on. She's actually sponsoring the Boss Moms event that's coming up, the Moms Giving tomorrow as well. So that's another thing. I don't think you mentioned that, but she's doing as well. She probably wears so many hats. Can't even remember all the things that you have going on, but it's incredible. And we are right here. And speaking of many hats that you wear, we are talking about that subject tonight because we know that moms are probably burnt out, moms are overwhelmed, moms are just like drowning. And I know that when I met you at the radio station, I was literally drowning that day, and you gave me so many encouraging words. And they were really encouraging at the time, but I think when I got a chance to sit down and really think about my day, I started to think about some of the things that you were saying to me. And that's why I felt like you were perfect to give these ladies some hope, because you gave me hope that day. And I was just so like tired and ran down, and you gave me some words of wisdom that day that kind of stuck with me as I went through the rest of this year going into 2022. And that is to take time out for yourself and calm down and know the rest.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't get it right all the time and it's not perfect. And that resonated with me that day in the parking lot. And I kind of carried that with me throughout this year, and I needed it. And so that's why I brought you on here to talk to these ladies today, to hopefully y'all get some encouragement just like I did that day. But my first question is how did you survive as a working mom all of these years?
I had a tight schedule. I still have a tight schedule. I had a schedule for my schedule. I took out time to schedule my schedule. Like literally, I had it on
Wow.
my calendar. I started every day, same time every single day. My children had a schedule and they played their part. Like I went to back then we didn't have Dollar Tree. We just had
Right.
Dollar General and Family Dollar when they were little. And so they had this chart, and I had this chart, and on there I could put stickers, and I would put stickers up there for when it was time for them to do certain tasks. And it would be like bath time, watching TV, and I had it sectioned out every single day, what time they
Wow.
were at school, what time they needed to go to bed, and I stuck them to it. I made it mandatory. It was like this is what we're doing, and they got used to it. It was almost like militant in a way, but to this
Well,
day,
what made you think of getting that sticker chart? Did you have any type of formal training? Did you work with kids before?
no, but I remember seeing whenever they would go to school. I remember them being at school. They went to Community Action Project. They started when they were like 3. We were like that
Okay.
was when Community Action Project first opened up. So it was like they were the initiating children into the program. They're like alumni at this
Right.
point.
The founding
But
students.
as they were
Right.
going through Community Action Project, they used to have these boards and they had to put stickers up there. And I remember my daughter coming home and saying, Mama, I got to be there on time because if I'm not there on time, I'm not going to get a sticker. And I said, I was like, I was already stressed. So having another duty on top of everything. So I went in. When I went in the next day, I was on time because she was late notoriously because I just had so much going on. I was so busy. And I went in and
Right.
I spoke to the teacher at the time. And she was like, yeah. I was like, what is this board that she's talking about? So the teacher took me over to the board and they got stickers for being on time, for doing all this stuff, and at the end of it they got a reward, and that reward was her favorite candy, and the teacher had all their favorite candies in little cubby holes, but they couldn't touch it unless they got all their stars, and
Oh.
she could never get to her stars because I was messing that up for her. So it actually took my own daughter wanting something for me to set that schedule, and she enjoyed that schedule because she knew, okay, if I do this schedule, then if I do everything I'm supposed to do at school, this can happen. But if I stick to this schedule, mama give me on to school on time. And so it created this,
Right.
okay, it was a reward system. So I've always rewarded them, and it's always been like that. Even to this day, I still reward them for certain things that they do.
Wow, I like that positive reinforcement. That is really
Yes.
good. And like I know sometimes, and I didn't put this on here, but like sometimes we get these routines and they're really good, and you want to stick to them, and then life starts driving you crazy, right? Or it'll take you off a different schedule. Somebody will get sick, you'll move, you'll get a promotion at work, job hours will change, different things like that. How did you continue to maintain that over all the years and the ups and downs and the changes that you kept going through? I know that you went through, and you said you were a single mom, or did you have help during those times? Like, what was going on? Because I need details.
So for me, because I was in school a lot, like life happened. Like I
Right,
went
right,
through 2 divorces in the middle of raising my children. I mean, I'm still raising. I have a 16-year-old, so I'm still in the weeds. I mean, I'm deep in the weeds right now. But
right.
I think for me, even with changes, like changing schools, they went to 6 different schools. It may have been over
Wow.
6, but for years I changed their schools, but we stuck to the strategy. The things that didn't change was Monday through Friday. They knew we get up at 6 o'clock in the mornings. And even if we don't have anything to do that day, we're still going to get up because there's something that can be done. If it's as
Mm,
simple as, I mean, just being that consistency, it was consistent for them. And if there was a day, I mean, every once in a while, mama slept in, the kids slept in. But when those days happened, we went back to what we knew because reinforcement. But I will say, my grandmother who raised me woke up every morning at 4 o'clock. She washed
Wow.
dishes and she had breakfast cooked by the time that we woke up at 6. That was our time. And she came around the house with a bell, a cowbell at that. Did it help that she called
Wow.
us heifers? No, anywho's. So she had this cowbell and she would ring it to let us know that it was time to get up. So I think for me, I already had it in me for the schedule, and reinforcing that was pretty easy because we knew when we woke up, breakfast was ready. We knew when we got home from school, dinner was already prepared. We knew that our bedtime was 8 o'clock every night. We got to watch Bill Cosby at 7 and A Different World at 7:30, and when that went off, it was time to go to bed. It was a treat for us to stay up past 8 o'clock. That was just our routine. And so
Wow.
for me, I think I already had a schedule. So it was down in my heart. So it was
Right.
easier for me to just carry that out.
Wow. Yeah, I like that consistency. I think it's something to be said about being raised by grandparents too. They seem to have it together more than parents do.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
already done it before, so they kind of got a better idea than what we have as first time parents. And to be able to go through that and come back, it's like, okay, I made that mistake as a parent. Now I can. That's really cool though to be raised by grandparents. I feel like they give you a wholesome they give you a different outlook on life that you didn't get, that you would not otherwise get had you been raised by your parents or whatever the case may be. So that's pretty cool. I like that idea. And you said a really important word. You said consistency. And I think that's where a lot of us moms fall short. And not just even moms, just humans in general, is consistency. Doing the same thing over and over the same way and being able to hit that mark every day. I think sometimes for me personally, I just fail. Like I just do not get up on time. I don't really make it to that. And I just really haven't committed to that. So getting that commitment and get consistency, I like that. I like that. So what are some of your go-to gurus or people that you listen to, books, podcasts? Who can we listen to, including yourself, that will give us some pointers or kind of give us some programs or leeway to continue to get this mom organization under control?
Well, of course, I got to throw my plug, and that would have to be for WOW, Women Helping Other Women. We're always doing something. We have tips, we have tricks, we have all of that stuff going in within the group. If you post it, someone will follow, they'll follow suit and be like, oh, this is what you need to do. But even more importantly, I think for me, I go to The Happy Black Woman. It's a podcast that you can find on Spotify. I use that
Mm-hmm.
a lot. But I, at the end of the day, your best guide is the Bible. I don't know how many people have read Proverbs, but the whole book, all 31 chapters, gives you how you should live.
Yes.
I don't know how many people even follow it, but it tells you about waking up early. And those that sleep just a little bit longer will be in poverty. I mean, if you start to read that stuff, like drinking, like having
Wow.
sex, all that stuff is in there. Nobody really pays attention to it, but it's there. And when I started to take on that model and start to read that more than just once, I was like, oh, okay. I, I've been missing it all this time, but being on a schedule, waking up early, setting your life, that's something that they preach, especially for a virtuous woman, um, which I'm far from all of her qualifications, but I strive for that. But when I see people, they want to know the best book is the Bible. It gives you everything
Mm.
you need. But
And you
the
said the whole book of Proverbs.
the whole book of Proverbs is nothing but examples of how you should live your life. And I don't even think churches really talk about that. Like, you could read a chapter a day. There's exactly 31 chapters. It's almost like it was meant. But it's 31 chapters, which there's usually about 31 days most months.
Most months.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
read a chapter a day, literally, and your life will be transformed because of the tips that you get in there. It even talks about how you shouldn't take out debt and loans for other people, which we do all the time. Like,
Right.
literally, we do it all the time.
Oh, I learned my lesson on that.
Yes, yes. So for
Yeah, and
me,
I was gonna
that
say, now that you say in the book of Proverbs, I actually took a class called Proverbs when I was in school, and literally we had to go through on like this ringed index card, the spiral index card, and every chapter in there we had to pick out a scripture, but literally everyone in there was applying to life. And they even got one on there about overeating and then like not in gluttony, like a lot of life skills in Proverbs. Like that book it should be a self-help book. Like I feel like it's
Man,
the base of a self-help book. The Proverbs would be a great place to start writing. But
yes.
yeah, that's really good. Yeah, absolutely. I like that. And I was telling, when I moved recently, I found my little spiral and I opened it up and I'm like, wow, this is really good. Because sometimes you don't get stuff into hindsight. You go back and you're like, oh, that's really good. I really probably should have listened to that, but I was trying to get my homework done. But now that I'm looking back on a lot of those scriptures in Proverbs, they are really good. I like that.
Yes.
Somebody saying something to us. Let's see. Proverbs made me start getting up at 5 a.m. LOL. Yeah. That's early. I ain't
Literally.
got to the 5. I ain't got to the delivered 5 a.m. yet, but I'm trying. I'm striving. I'm at 7 o'clock right now, y'all.
You'll get there. It takes practice. And then what I learned is, here I've been in transition because I've been working a 9 to 5 for all my years. So for years I've worked. And now that I work for myself, I'm like, oh, I can just, take a break, not go in as early. And I reread Proverbs 31 and I was like, ooh, that hit home because, it says just a little bit more sleep, just a little bit more slumber, and you'll
In
see
poverty.
poverty. And when it said that, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, let me get my butt up. So this morning, actually, I got back on my regular schedule. Now, something that I should be working into my schedule because I'm not perfect. But one thing that I think I missed the mark on is exercise because I did not include that into my regimen. But that's something that I'm trying to get better at is the exercise portion because there's no use of me having a schedule. I can't schedule nothing if I'm dead. So I'm trying to get better at eating
I
and
totally
better
agree.
at just living my life, the temple, the whole body, holistic body, mind, body, and soul. And I fail miserably on the body. So I still have things that me myself need to work on.
Oh yeah, I already know. It's hard to get in there and get to the gym and do all that and have the kids too. And I know those is probably excuses,
They
but
are.
life does get hard. It does get tricky, and situations happen that carry you away on your mental health. And I don't know if I asked this on here to you earlier, but I do want to know, like, how did you take care of your mental health during this time when you were, parenting and doing all the stuff that you were doing and building this, your organization and your brand and who you are? How did you balance your mental health during this time?
I did it very poorly. A lot of
Mm,
people don't know that I struggled with depression for years.
wow.
And a lot of that, I hid it behind a smile. I hid it behind just doing stuff and just keeping myself busy, which I'm still busy, which doesn't mean I'm depressed. It just means I'm used to that because I've created that mode. But a lot of times my mental suffered more than anything. And because of my mental, it caused me to gain a lot of weight that I'm still
Mm,
trying to get off because I'm just cramming in the food. And I think that's the downside to me having a schedule. A lot of times, if the schedule didn't work, guess what? I didn't get to cook. So, guess what I'm doing? I'm eating out. My kids are eating out, which created unhealthy lifestyle for all of us. We're all kind of overweight. So, there was that was the one thing that I feel that I could have improved on is making sure that there was healthy options for me and my children to eat because even now my children, my middle child, she suffered with depression because of her weight. Well, she's lost that weight now, but I was like, hey, now that you're little, you still have to be mindful of what you eat and how you eat it because depression can sneak back on you. And of course,
yeah,
when you're depressed, what do? A lot of people eat. And then when you eat, now you're more depressed because you didn't gain
because
more
you're
weight. So it's
overweight,
like this
right? It's
cycle
a
of,
cycle.
but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
my mental was destroyed. But I will say, when how I build my mental eventually was acknowledging that I needed help, And I had accountability partners. I had me a couple of close girlfriends that I would reach out to, and we would have prayer circles and we would talk about things in life. And you need someone, a physical person, because please believe me, I prayed to God all the time. He's still in my mental. But the reality is you need to see, feel, and touch someone that can relate to you or is on your level or you look up to help you out of those moments. So my circle of influence was my girl Sean and my girl Charlene. They're my dear girls. And to this day, we still have moments where we meet up in our successes and we talk about, okay, what can we do now, or what you struggling with, girl, I'm gonna be praying for you, all that stuff, because
Wow.
it makes a difference in where you go. If you can't find a mother or a family member, a sister, or a spouse, if you're married, even when you're married, you can still feel alone or feel stressed and feel like the weight is on you. So you need someone to be able to talk that through. And then of course I had my girl, and that my best friend, which is Regina. We talked, and when we talked, it was the raw. So you need someone that you can go raw with, meaning the dirty, the cussing, the unveiled you,
The
the one that
unfiltered.
nobody else gets to see, the not the put together, but the broken down, the person that's been around and knows where you've been from. You need someone that can relate to you. So for me, I had a circle. I had a circle of sisters to help me through that. And when I couldn't depend on them, I wrote in my journal. And the journal is what ultimately helped me through. And I would write everything. I was very honest, very open, and sometimes I had to tear up the pages after I wrote it down because it was just that real. And sometimes you have
Mm.
to, but you need to get it out. It has to be an action, it has to be expressed. Because if it's not, then it sits there and it festers. And the devil, that he loves when we're idle. He loves to mess with our mind. So if we don't take that time to get to know what's causing us to feel the way we are, if we're not writing it down, if we're not speaking that out, then it's sitting there and he's festering. He was like, yeah, remember that time? Or yeah, your kids getting on your nerves because this happened when you was a child, and now you doing that to your kids and to make you feel like you a bad mom. And I've had my moments. I've had DHS called on me. I have had a lot. My kids have, one of them ran away, tried to move out. I mean, yeah, I've been through it all. But with God, all things are possible. I got my family right
Wow.
on back. I fought for my kids because I was raised by my grandmother, like I said, and I felt like, I had to fight for my kids because I didn't feel that my mother fought for me like I wanted her to. But we don't know other people's situations until we know. And now that I know what my mom went through, it makes sense why I deal with depression, why I'm always afraid that I'm gonna lose my children, why I'm afraid of doing certain things, why I had to be a super overachiever because I was afraid of being like my mother.
Wow. That is
Mhm.
so true about the generational curses too. And
Yes.
somebody, I think it's Maya, she said, when we know when we know to do better, it's great to see a greater awareness around mental health, which I totally agree with Maya. And she said, in healthy eating options and lifestyle. And then to your story, she said, but God. And that's the
But
most
God.
important thing, but God. That's so good, y'all, because you think that you in something by yourself and you find out you in there with God, that you never alone, like he never leaves you or forsakes you or puts you in there to raise those kids by yourself. And every question that I ask you, you keep redirecting it back to God, because I think that is essential. That is what we need. People, I want you ladies to understand, and even what you saying, Miss Crystal, is so true, is because without God, we can do nothing. It is impossible. And that scripture, that thought, that process never became more real to me when I became a mother. Like, I
Ooh.
literally cannot do this by myself. I know it's things in life you can kind of manipulate on your own and kind of get through, but motherhood is not one of them. It is not for the faint of heart. It is not for the folks who want to be in here and do something real quick. It is a lifetime commitment to some folks
Mhm.
that maybe you didn't even know were coming. you may not even have asked for. They were unexpected, but they are here, and you just got to kind of show up to the job. And I think some people get into motherhood and they think, oh, this is going to be fun, or this may be easy, or this is going to be cute. It's none of those. But you don't find that out until later on down the line. But you will need God. You will need Jesus. You will need that relationship with God. And it is, I tell you, the best thing you could ever give to your child as well is a relationship with God. Because when life is hard and it's up and it's going crazy, that they can rely on God. And I couldn't imagine a life of being raised without that knowledge. I know some people were not fortunate to have that, but I know that my mother gave me that too. She gave me that relationship with God. She didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of things, but she left me with this relationship and this drive to do better for myself. And with that, I've been able to run with that. So I think overall, people need to realize that you're not in here by yourself, that you have a creator that created those kids, who created you, and he is the blueprint. So when we're out here trying to figure out how to do this by ourselves and how we're going to get through each and every situation, you remember that God created this person. He gave you this duty as a mom, and he's going to be the one you need to fall upon when this thing gets crazy. So I love how you kept going back to God. Like, that is the most important thing in all of this. And like you, of course, we're Christians. We stand on this. This is where we live. Like, this is what I want people to understand, and what women need to understand about your motherhood and about your schedule and about all that you're trying to do is you need to commit that to God. Get that to God and let him first. Yes, you give it to God, but you're going to have to do some action. Just like Miss Crystal said, get in that journal, get you a sisterhood around you. That's so good. The sisterhood, the connections, the community around you is so very important. It's so critical. On them days when you can't get to daycare on time, when they close the school down and you don't know where to go, you're going to need a back, but it takes a village really to raise those kids. Just recently, I got a call from my daughter's school, and they said, oh, we're closing the schools down for 2 weeks. I'm like, what? Like, I have no day. Like, I'm scrambling, right? And that's where my sisterhood came into play. Like, hey, no, I'll take your kids at 5, or I'll take your kids at 3, whatever the case. You need people around you that will help you. You can't do it by yourself. It's so important that you have that community around you. So I like that. All of those are really, really good. So anyway, going into that, when you got your schedule, you got it rolling. Like, how has it affected you going forward with having that schedule and being able to get all of that done? How do you feel like it impacted your life versus if you wouldn't have put your foot down and wouldn't have came up with those things for yourself?
Well, for me, of course, I had a short end of the stick in the first place because,
Right.
I lived in a shelter for 2 years with my children. They were babies.
Wow.
I was 16. I was 15 when I had my first one. I was 16 when I had my second one. So by the time that I was 18, I was distraught. But I was living in a shelter from 16 up until after I turned 18 years old because of bad choices. So, of course, having a baby at a
Wow.
young age is that bad choice, and it just kept spiraling from there. But what I'll say is, eventually, you have to get into a spot where you're saying, okay, no longer will I be in this. I cannot live this destructive behavior. And from that moment, I started taking those baby steps in that schedule. And because I had that schedule, when I started to go to school, I even wrote on my schedule, I was like, okay, y'all, I got to study from 6 to 8. And on Mondays, I got to go into school and I'm gone for 4 hours. And that happened for 5 years. They knew every Monday or whatever day school was on, I was out. And
Mm-hmm.
the other days, there was at least an hour or two that I had to study. And then on top of that, I didn't get them. I tried to find jobs where I could get off work by 3:30, 4 o'clock at the latest. God has blessed me to have jobs that the times that my children were getting off, they only had like maybe 30 minutes to an hour where they were at home before I was coming through the door, or I was picking them up from daycare. And when they would get home from daycare, I would do what I need to do. But that schedule is what helped me to get my master's degree in business management. That schedule is what helped me to build my business. That schedule is what helped me to get my daughters into good jobs. And my oldest daughter just moved to Dallas and is about to start her business. My middle one is on her she has her associate's degree in engineering, working on her bachelor's in engineering, and about to go to the Air Force. But a lot of that is because there was schedule, there was structure, there was something for them to know, okay, this is what I have. So, and they knew at the drop of the hat, sometimes we had to go because I had to juggle dance school and soccer and all the tryouts and classes after school. So I had to keep an even tighter schedule because I wanted them to live out their dreams while I was living what I was trying to catch up on mine. So
Right.
it is a big struggle, but it can happen, but it takes a tight schedule to get done. Going to school, raising kids. Well, actually, daycare raised my kids, to be honest. But going to school, taking care of them in the afternoons, and working a 9 to 5, or in my case, a 7 to 3:30 most of their life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You said daycare, but I say you raise those kids. You pay for the daycare and be able to
True,
provide. You
true.
raised those kids and you did a phenomenal job at it. Cause listen, just hearing your story, I'm exhausted just hearing it. But I admire you. I really do. I truly do. And if I didn't, I wouldn't even brought you on the show to talk about it because I just admire the way that you go about it and how calm you were when you talk about all of this. And I'm over here like literally losing my mind. You're like, it's okay. And I'm like, no, like I'm dying. But anyway, I absolutely do. And I really want you to know that I do admire that. Like, it is good to be in the presence of someone who is brutally honest and will let us know, hey, listen, this is hard, but I was able to do it. And you tell us the ups and downs and the real truth. And Miss Nikki is on here and she said, having kids, they said have kids, it'll be fun as a joke. But yeah, they did. They said it would be fun, and it really wasn't as fun as folks say. But I think when you get in that thing and you realize that you're leaving a legacy, and you talked a lot about that, you left a legacy for your kids. You provided an opportunity for them to go forward and go to college and have a schedule and be on time because a lot of people don't have that. You know what I'm saying? You create a base for them that they can later go on and teach their children, just like your grandmother taught you. You left that legacy for them. But also to say that folks that don't have that, you can still create that. It's not too late to create that legacy for yourself and for your children and their children's children. Because truly, what you're doing is a generational, breaking generational curses when you're able to do something for people who wasn't able to do it before the generation before you. So I think that it's very important that we continue in that path to create that legacy and not make it hard for our kids. Oh well, I didn't get it, so you ain't gonna get it either. No, different type of mentality, and it's a shifting of your mindset, and I love that. That's why I like that when I see what you did, even though it was hard, even though you had struggles, even though, and it's a balance of both worlds. But at the end of the day, look at the success that the kids are having now. Look at the success that your girls or young ladies, I'm calling them girls, but they're young ladies and young women that they have now, and they can look back and call you blessed, just like that Proverbs 31 woman that you talked about before. And I said, and I heard you say that you were striving toward that mark, but I feel like that you're getting there because your kids are going to look back and say, you're blessed. You know, I was blessed for her to be my mom. Like that was a blessing for you to raise those kids. Like that was what God called you to do in that season. And you did that. And you're still currently doing it with your 16-year-old. So I think it's pretty cool. And it's encouraging for us moms that are on the backside of that with the potty trainers. Like I got right now. I remember you telling me about the wagon in the potty training underwear, which I ran and got my underwear, and those work like a charm, by the way, y'all.
Yes.
But my 4-year-old, she's good. She's in school now, y'all. And she ain't had no accidents in the last couple months, so we are thankful for that. But yeah, so just realistic thoughts and everything for you ladies. I hope you guys took some tips from all of that, and it was all good for you. But I want you guys to remember what she said in the beginning, and that was to keep God first and keep God in all that you do when it comes to your parenting, when it comes to your children. God has to be the center of it. Do you have anything else you want to add to the ladies? Anything else that you could think of that would work for us moms and we need to hear?
I think the biggest thing is as you go about your life, give yourself some grace because this motherhood thing, we all figuring out as we go. And we're all different, dealing with different characteristics. You could be raising the next billionaire. You could be raising the
Mm.
next superstar. You could be raising the next person to set your generation free. And
Wow.
because of that, it's very important that you take full advantage of what you have. Give yourself some grace, but to remember to keep God at the forefront of your family. Because what I've learned here lately is have a relationship with God, but I forgot to show my children to have that relationship, not the religious part, but actually building the relationship. So now I let them hear not the bad parts of my life. They were hearing me complain about how bad life was, about how the bills weren't paid, how, I was stressed out about certain things. And I forgot to show them that, hey, even though I was complaining, I knew for the most part I was complaining, but I knew God was going to come through. And one of the sayings that I used to have, and I hope you take heed to it as well, is it'll be greater later.
Ooh,
Because
I like
a
that.
lot of times you get caught up in your head like, this is it even gonna be worth it? Is my whole living vain? Sometimes with kids, you'll be questioning God
Ooh,
now. These children don't even act like me. Whose children are these? Sometimes I
right. Oh my
think these are
gosh.
demon spawns, like they were sent to torment me. But at the end of the day, I remember that God gave them to me because He knew that what I had in me, the essence and what He gave to me, I was going to pass on to them. And they are now my petals. I like to call them my petals for my flower because rose petal, or when a rose, the petals of the flower, when they go off, they have seeds, and those seeds plant more flowers. So when the petals fall off, they are seeds falling to the ground, which will grow other flowers. So my petals, my daughters, as I call them, my petals are are growing, and they're going to be seeds that I'm putting out there. What are you putting into the ground? What
Wow.
petals are you putting into the world? And when you start thinking of it like that, are you angry all the time? My oldest two, all they remember is, Mama, you was angry all the time. And I used to be like, was I? Because they're like, how you raising the youngest one, that she don't get the brunt of what we got. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like that's not me anymore. Trying to
Right.
explain
There is
that
a different
to them.
kind of mom. That is so true.
So I
Wow.
will say, like, they did not like the schedule, and I was very close to it. But give yourself some grace and let your children see the relationship you have with God, and that it's a good one, because that's going to frame them for the rest of their lives. They're going to remember that for
Right.
the rest of their lives. And what you do now, the seeds you plant today are going to grow some type of harvest later. And you don't want crap. You want good stock. When your children get
Right.
to a certain
I
age,
like that.
woo, it's very important.
Wow, I agree with that 100% about what you said. And I love the little the not the little, but the good analogy you did about the petals and what are you planting in the earth, because that is you going out putting little seeds in the earth, and what are you sowing out there, because a lot of time I remember seeing this little video or whatever, and it was like, what's wrong with your son or whatever, and it was like, it's you, Patricia, or something. It was like a TikTok, I don't know, but
Yeah.
basically blaming the mom for these bad behaving children or whatever, and like, this is why, this is who you raised or whatever, these are your characteristics. Because a lot of time your kids will show you, and they're a mirror of who you are. So sometimes in a, I don't know if we're getting off subject, either way, these is
No, this
gems we
is it.
dropping, but it's so true, because your kids will show you who you are. They'll show up and tell you who you really are, because it's not the you that you show up to the conferences or the people see
Woo.
you businesswoman, blah blah blah. We wear a lot of titles and we can fix ourselves up, but with kids they see the real you, and they'll literally tell you who you are. It's just so funny. Like, my daughter is off the chain. She's 4, right? She doesn't know anything. We were getting ready to lead a dance. She was like, Mama, you ain't got your hair on. I'm like, oh my God. I can't stand you. It can be your own kids. But anyway, I'm like, girl, I know. If you would put your shoes on, I could go put my wig on. But anyway, it's just so funny. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, these kids will literally say
They will.
anything. And so My baby keeps me on my toes, even when it come down to reminding me, "Mommy, you ain't got your hair on." Like, but they are so raw and authentic that they will show you who you really are and tell you who you really are. So if you want to know how you do it, check in with your kids. They'll tell you the
Yes, they
truth.
will. Oh, they will.
They'll tell you the truth about you. Okay. We got somebody. Somebody said, "Yes, kids are like a mirror." That's Buana. Hey, Buana, how y'all doing? And Miss Nikki's on here too. Hey, they said, "Hey to you too, Krista.
Hello,
Hold them
hello.
accountable." Oh yeah, your kids will hold you accountable. Absolutely, kids will literally hold you accountable. My daughter's off the chain. She kind of like me. She's outspoken, but like whenever I see myself in her, I'll be like, "Okay, what can I do? I taught her this. This is who I've been. This is what I've modeled in front of her. I just got to do better," or or I'm happy about it. Because sometimes they do things that you love. They'll be motivated or whatever, like you love. So it's not always a negative thing when you see your kids acting out, but they will be you. And so you have to be careful what you put in their ear gates and what you put in front of them. So it's all good. Okay, so tell us where we can find you on social medias and everything, how we can follow you, Miss Crystal.
So you can follow me at Facebook on Boss Encounters with the Z. And my actual website is www.bossencounters.com, or .net, not .com, .net. I have to say that because that website is $2,000. Anywho, so they you can also on WHOW Network.org, which is my nonprofit. So I can be found. And then you can call me 918-955-0251.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Y'all heard it. I'm gonna link all that below, which I probably should have did that before I said I was. I didn't get a chance to, but I'm gonna link all of that on this video, y'all. So if you're watching on my Facebook page or you're doing this on YouTube, I got it streaming to a couple of different things. I will post all that information. So you guys need to go in there and book her up. You guys need to go like her page, like her group, or join the group, like the page, book an appointment, because she does what is websites, business cards. She actually did my sister's business cards for her home health aid program, and they were really cute. I really loved them. So y'all go book with her. She will help you with all your business needs, and it's phenomenal. She knows what she's done. She's been in the game for a long time, and she'll even give you some skills that you didn't ask for, some advice you may not have asked for. She will give you that as well. So she will give you a business card and give you some life skills at the same time. So y'all book with Miss Crystal and y'all follow her. And thank you, Miss Crystal. Continue the work you're doing. You are blessing women. You are leaving an impact on this world. You are doing your God-given calling. So if you thought for any moment that you were not, we are confirming with you today that you are walking in the calling that God gave you. So thank you so much for being obedient. Thank you for all that you've done and the women that you are going to continue to bless and the ones that you've already blessed on your platform. So
Well,
thank you.
thank you for this. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to your business flourishing, your counseling. I mean, is it counseling?
Yeah,
You
it
do
is.
counseling or consulting, but counseling too.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing, and you don't hear it enough, but you are doing some amazing things, and I look up to you as well. So
Wow.
you
Thank
never
you.
know when someone is watching you and seeing you, and just your charisma and how you talk, your boldness, that is needed, especially in this season. And girl, I'll be seeing your post and I'm like, all of them just be hidden, they just be like speaking to me. So keep it up.
Oh
keep,
man,
keep
that's good
doing
to
what you're
hear.
doing, because even when you don't see it, people are watching, and they may never say nothing, they may not even like it, but they're looking, and they may be
Okay.
nodding their head and like, oh, I like that. And then one day 10 years later, why you stop
Thank
posting?
you.
Because I was watching, and you stop posting because some people just don't like to click on it because they know it brings a lot of other stuff. But just know that you're being noticed even when you don't realize it. Keep moving
Wow.
forward, and one day it's just going to explode overnight. I literally did the posting for what, 2005. From 2005, we are 15 years later before WoW actually started to get noticed. So
Wow.
take your time and build it up. I'm not saying that you're gonna have the bamboo season right now. It's gonna be unexpected and
Wow.
suddenly. It's just gonna be a suddenly
I'm
harvest.
excited about the
Yes.
bamboo season too. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Ooh, thank you so much for that word. I needed it because I've been drowning out here. I've been in the deep. But I am believing God just along with you for that bamboo season and that we're gonna explode and it's gonna be
Woo,
man, we ain't gonna be able to catch up and we're gonna be ready. We won't be tricked, we won't
ready.
be bamboozled.
Bamboozled.
It is
Yes.
bamboo season. But again, thank you so much for the first of all for the words of encouragement and then for coming on my show and talking to the ladies. And I hope, ladies, that you guys take some notes and that y'all get into the book of Proverbs because I know I'm about to run over there and put me some
Telling you.
bookmarks in it because Proverbs, listen, it will learn you. Just like Miss Crystal said, it's good. So y'all go to Proverbs and it don't matter what book, they all good. All 31 of
Yes.
them, right? You said all
Yes.
31 of them. Yeah. So y'all
All
just start from
31
one
of
and
them, you're
just
going to
read
catch
whenever you
some
get a
gems.
chance. Well, I would schedule it, right? So we need to schedule a reading time. Get you a
Yes.
schedule, read you some Proverbs, and get your life. So it's good. But thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next week. We'll be back at 7 o'clock with another special guest. And I'm so excited. And thank you again, Miss Crystal. You have a good night.
You too.
All
Thank
right. Have a
you.
good night.